And here we are on day 46 of the 100 Days of Narration Challenge. And for today's Narration Challenge, I thought I'd turn to, keeping in with this week's game reviews or game previews or game features from games magazines of any kind, I thought I'd switch to PC Action, Britain's brightest PC games magazine, issue number... God, is there an issue number on this? Where is it? Issue number 6. Wow. Issue number 6, and they're already calling themselves the brightest PC games magazine. I wonder what other PC games magazine from Britain would say about that. April 1994, and today we're going to read a preview for TIE Fighter, one of the great Star Wars games from LucasArts before they became nothing but Star Wars games, and every game somehow became even less than what it was previously. Just less and less and less. You know, because before, Star Wars games were like, wow, a Star Wars game! Oh my god, that's so amazing! And also, like, collapsing into fanboy, ecstasy. But after a certain point, it just became, oh god, no! It's another glow stick battle game. Come on, LucasArts, you used to make other games apart from Star Wars games. What happened to you, man? What happened to you? And now they're gone. And now LucasArts are completely gone as a development studio, which is very, very sad to learn. But most of the great creative talents had left that company by then, but still pretty harsh for any up-and-coming developer, you know, who was in LucasArts at the time, and anybody who was left at LucasArts who was with the old team. But I can't really think of anybody who was left from the old team. I mean, I think everybody just moved on after George Lucas came down and said, "No, LucasArts is my company. My chin speaks and it says we shall do nothing but Star Wars games." Yeah, that's great. That's great, George. That's great. You've ruined everything with that mindset. Anyway, TIE Fighter was one of the good ones, one of the good games. I've actually only played X-Wing. I did play TIE Fighter, but only through a friend's computer, and I did enjoy it. Even though it was like flying TIE fighters, which were could be blown up in 2 hits, which was not great. Yeah, it was really tense being blown up in 2 hits, but yeah. So anyway, let's have a look at this article here from PC Action. It's a preview for TIE Fighter, the game, but it's called Workshop because, you know, that's so much more fancy than saying preview. So, and the big title is Why the Empire is Striking Back. Have LucasArts betrayed us by defecting to the Imperial side for the eagerly awaited sequel to X-Wing? We find out why TIE Fighter still has the Force on its side, even though it's now the dark side of Darth Vader. Okay. Yes, have LucasArts betrayed us? That's a little bit prescient, a bit ironic, considering what happened in the 2000s. Anyway, enough with my little asides here. Let's read on. LucasArts have a lot to answer for. Not content with luring many innocent games players to join the rebellion as an X-Wing pilot in the best-selling space combat simulator of 1993. Wow, there were multiple space combat simulators back in 1993. And then suddenly it stopped. We don't get a lot of flight simulators in general. Not just space flight, but just flight simulators in general. I guess because if it doesn't translate well to console, then it doesn't work because, you know, that's where the market is. Consoles, you know, that's where it is. Yeah, thanks a lot, consoles. You've ruined everything for us. I'm kidding. I love consoles. No, I don't. Yes, I do. Whatever. Anyway, they are now asking us to climb into the cockpit of a flimsy TIE fighter as Imperial Navy recruits and help crush that same rebellion. It's been both exciting and challenging to explore previously uncharted territories of the Star Wars fantasy and peer into the minds of these Imperial characters, says award-winning designer Lawrence Holland. The plot is straight out of The Empire Strikes Back, but in this spin on the original story, you are flying under Darth Vader and Admiral Thrawn, picking off Rebel X-Wings as they abandon their base on the ice planet Hoth. And looking at things from the Empire's point of view isn't such a betrayal as it might seem. The Empire is portrayed as restoring peace to a region racked by war since the breakdown of the Alliance, and the rebels are now outlaws trying to tear apart the established order. The game will contain all the best elements of the X-Wing formula, and, judging by the demo, the view from the dark side looks remarkably similar. The 3D polygon The 3D polygon spacecrafts, the striking bitmap special effects and lightning and explosions, the fluid flight engine, these are all back in all their glory. A little garage shading has been added to round off the edges of those uncompromising polygons, but the basics are still the same. Pilots who proved themselves last year in X-Wing's virtual reality training ground and the historic combat missions will have the chance to refresh those skills on the Imperial Space Station. And adding to this feeling of déjà vu is the blueprint room, containing familiar ship types, and the film room. The beauty of X-Wing was that it successfully recreated the atmosphere of the Star Wars movies, from the roar of the TIE Fighter right down to the beeps of your R2 unit. The digitally mastered, there's no re in there. The digitally mastered sound effects and studio recorded voices are back, courtesy of LucasArts' iMuse sound system, and that dramatic movie-style score plays right through the game by accessing music on the fly. Did I read that right? I don't know. I thought the iMuse system was the iMuse sound system was more about how the MIDI soundtrack. That's what we used back then. It was MIDI, it wasn't actually sampled like from an orchestra or anything. It was just MIDI soundtrack. But basically, it knew where to branch off into, like, this is more exciting music, this is less exciting music, this is space exploration music, and it's on the action music again. It shifted in and out. It was like you're having your own dramatic orchestra, like scoring to your every move. And games do that nowadays. Why do I need to explain that to you? But back then, that was like amazing. Games could do that. Wow, I'm in my own film. It's kind of strange how we got excited about that back in the day. But I'm still figuring out if I read that sentence correctly. The digitally mastered sound effects and studio recorded voices are back, courtesy of LucasArts' iMuse sound system, and that dramatic movie-style score plays right through the game by accessing music on the fly. Edward Kilham developed an effective story engine called Landru for X-Wing, and this will be rolling out full-screen cinematic sequences again for TIE Fighter, filling in the background to the involved plot. And a book full of photos and illustrations comes with the package, telling the story of a young Imperial Navy recruit. Does that mean like it came with instruction manual of some kind, that really thick instruction manual? That would have been cool to have. X-Men didn't really have a really big, thick instruction manual, if I recall, which is unusual for its time. Because back then, games came with, like, huge instruction manuals. I mean, it wasn't just like a way of, like, giving you, like, instructions. Oh yes, you press the A button to jump, you press the B button to attack. No, it was like a whole world in there, like a whole world being described in the instruction manual. It was like another insight into the world of the game. In fact, sometimes the entire story was in a manual, which is not too great for game design, but what have you. Anyway, we'll keep going. LucasArts know when they're onto a good thing. We received so much positive feedback from fans of X-Wing, says Lawrence Holland, but we believe there's always room for improvement. So we set out to provide gamers with some important new features. Including more non-linearity in the structure of the battles and greater strategic insight into the missions. Wow, that's a sentence to trip over. Let's try that one again. So we set out to provide gamers with some important new features, including more nonlinearity in the structure of the battles and greater strategic insight into the missions. Blah. That's not a great sentence. One of these new features is the chance to direct questions to the briefing officer via dialogue options, thus gaining insights into how best to complete each mission. Dear God, what is wrong with me today? One of these new features is the chance to direct questions to the briefing officer via dialogue options, thus gaining insights into how best to complete each mission. If a pilot chooses to waive that option in the briefing room, it's not too late to change his or her mind once in flight, says Holland. Pilots will have a computer on board that can access that same information at any time. Where X-Wing consisted of 4 tours of duty, making you complete each mission in sequence, TIE Fighter's 40-plus missions are said to be non-linear. What this means is that you choose one of the 4 places to be stationed, and if you get stuck on and it goes to the next page, great, I hate it when they do that, on the missions there, you can relocate to another station, another battle, and another part of the story. Yeah. Damn it. Okay. Alright, that's more comfortable. Designers Holland and Killam have indeed listened to our little whinges about their game, and this comes partly in answer to the charge that X-Wing was too difficult. The update discs Imperial Pursuit and B-Wing provided one solution with online hints, but TIE Fighter goes one step further by allowing you to vary the difficulty level. We have implemented easy, medium, and hard levels that players can select at the beginning of the campaign, says Killam. That should help players with various abilities enjoy TIE Fighter in its entirety. Of course, he's right. It would be criminal to miss out on any part of the Imperial campaign, for after a range of missions in TIE Fighter, TIE Interceptor, and Assault Gunboat, you can take the helm of the TIE Advanced Starfighter, personally designed by Darth Vader, before progressing to the mysterious TIE Deluxe. Was there a TIE Deluxe? I know there was a TIE Defender, which was like 7 TIE Fighters stuck to each other. It was like a huge, massive thing. Mad, crazy. This represents a break from the flimsy basic TIE Fighter whose strength lies in group formation flying. The Deluxe has shields, lasers, a tractor beam, and missiles with a great variety of warheads which can always be reloaded mid-mission. According to Killam, this is an evolution beyond the TIE Advanced. It will have the capability to rival the Rebels' finest ships. To this end, Killam has given you a new threat display, providing vital information of a selected ship, an improved targeting display now operating in real time. Why wouldn't a targeting display operate in real time? Why would that be considered a feature? In fact, wasn't that how that worked in the original X? I don't remember. I don't remember. If X-Wing seemed more like an adventure game than a flight sim, then TIE Fighter goes even further down that flight path. Down that flight path. No, not down that. Down that flight path. Oh, cheer right, mate. Toss a rather shrimp on the bar. I don't know if that was JFK doing an Australian accent or an Australian doing a John F. Kennedy impression. I don't know what happened there. If X-Wing seemed more like an adventure game than a flight sim, then TIE Fighter goes even further down that flight path. TIE Fighter will have more of a pure storyline. Let's try that again. TIE Fighter will have more of a pure storyline look and feel, says Edward Killam. Players will be able to ask questions and get more information on each mission's objective, story, and strategy. Players will be able to ask questions, and get more information on I'm tripping myself up here. Players will be able to ask questions and get more information on each mission's objective, story, and strategy. Right. Missions are in fact much longer and more involved. Radio messages keep you fully informed about your progress, and you have now more control over your wingmen. But hand in hand with a new realism comes a new continuity. If you lose that important wingman on an early mission, he will now not return. Wow, really? Oof, that sounds harsh. The various generic features of X-Wing will make it seem bland when compared to the depth of TIE Fighter. Where the original classic has a range of standard space tugs and containers, the new improved version has dozens of support ships. Yikes. The new improved version has dozens of support ships, space platforms, and various supply vehicles. The player will encounter several new spacecraft, says Holland, including space platform targets, which are innovative space stations. You can even call back to base for support if you get into trouble, or fly back to base if you run out of missiles and reload. But things aren't as simple as they first seem on the dark side, and a subplot runs through the story. You find out more about this talking to the mysterious cloaked figure who accompanies your briefing officer and becomes involved in a secret society of elite pilots, and may even end up defending the Empire against corruption from within. The reversal is complete. By summer, you'll be a fully fledged Imperial pilot, having learned to handle the various spacecraft in the training. Oh God, what is wrong with me today? I'm just tripping over the easiest words. It's crazy. Having learned to handle the various spacecraft in the training sequences and flown all the missions, you'll be eagerly awaiting the next 2 update discs. And one thing's for sure, the Force will be with you. What? That doesn't sound right. By summer, you'll be a fully fledged Imperial pilot, having learnt to handle the various spacecraft in this training sequence and flown all the missions. You'll be eagerly awaiting the next 2 installment discs. Next 2 update discs. 2 update discs. And one thing's for sure, the Force will be with you. Wait, I don't understand. That sentence doesn't seem to make sense to me. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, that really became really terrible towards the end. I'm really sorry about that. It's, oh God, I did this 100 Days of Narration challenge to improve my narration, and instead it seems to be getting worse. That's great. That's really great. Oh, and the article was by Dave Longsworth. So there's that. Okay. So I hoped you enjoyed that. That was day 46 of the 100 Days of Narration Challenge, and the magazine it was from PC Action. PC Action. Issue number 6, April 1994. Stick around for tomorrow, where I will be doing day 47. Day 47? Day 47. Right, see you then.